Hi, my name is Desmond Smalley. I'm a second-year strategic communication major, leadership studies minor from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hello, I'm Darian Williams. I'm a first-year criminal justice major from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
My name is Desmond Sturvey. I'm a freshman, criminal justice major from Greensboro, North Carolina.
My name is Danielle Rayford. I'm a first-year English major from Long Island, New York.
I'm Granger. I'm a business management major from New Jersey.
We're talking to you about what is sickle cell. To me personally, sickle cell is a deformity in the blood cell that alters your blood cell in a sense. But in a more layman and I guess you can say biology terms, sickle cell is a severe hereditary form of anemia in which a mutated form of hemoglobin distorts the red blood cells into a crescent shape at low oxygen level. It is most common among those of the African descent, so mostly prevalent in the African American community. One of the first people that were founded with sickle cell was Walter Clement. Now with sickle cell, it also states that the hemoglobin is a protein in the red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. So this is a vital part of our body that we need to survive. Inherited means that the disease is passed by one's parent one's parents to their children. SCD is a not contagious, sickle cell disease is not contagious, and a person cannot catch it. So it's not transferable. You cannot catch it from kissing, touching, and things of that sort, like a cold or infection from someone else. People who have sickle cell inherit two abnormal hemoglobin genes, one from each parent. In all forms of sickle cell disease, at least one of the two abnormal genes causes a person's body to make hemoglobin S. When a person has two hemoglobin S genes, hemoglobin SS, the disease is called sickle cell anemia. The most common and often the most severe kind of sickle cell are hemoglobin SS, hemoglobin SC, hemoglobin SB, hemoglobin SB, hemoglobin SD, and hemoglobin SE. And an overview of it all, to wrap it up in a nutshell, is cells in the tissue need a steady supply of oxygen to work well. Red blood cells that contain normal hemoglobins are disc-shaped, like a donut without a hole. This shape allows the cell to be flexible so that it can move through large, small blood vessels to deliver oxygen. Sickle hemoglobin is not like normal hemoglobin. It can form stiff rods with the red cells, changing it into a crescent or sickle shape. Sickle-shaped cells are not flexible and cannot stick to vessel walls, causing a blockage that slows or stops the flow of blood. When this happens, oxygen cannot reach nearby tissues. All in all, sickle cell disease is a horrible disease that really affects your blood cells. We need our blood cells to be full and formed so we can have oxygen, so we can live and survive in life. Without that, we're really not alive in a sense. But that is all on sickle cell and what it is.
Some of the major symptoms are painful swelling in the hands and feet, known as dialysis, fatigue or fuzziness from anemia, yellowish color of skin, or whiter eyes. And the symptoms of sickle cell can vary from person to person and change over time. Most of the signs are related to the disease. Major complications is acute pain. These pain episodes can occur without warning when sickle cell blood block flows and decrease oxygen delivery. People describe this pain as sharp, intense stabbing or throbbing, severe crisis, but even more uncomfortable than most post-surgical pain or childbirth. Most of the pain can strike to your lower back, your legs, your arm, your abdomen, and your chest. This can lead to illness, temperature changes, stress, dehydration if not drinking not a proper amount of water, and being at high altitudes, or blood pressure and stuff like that. Severe apnea could lead to symptoms such as shortness of breath, being very tired, feeling dizzy, having pale skin. And it could lead to infections in your spleen, which isn't healthy at all. And it builds up bacteria and germs, and the sickle cells can damage the spleen or weaken or destroy the function in early life.
You inherit sickle cell by if both of your parents pass down the gene to you. If they pass down the gene, then that means you inherit sickle cell. But if one of the parents pass down the gene, then that means you inherit the trait. And if you inherit the trait, 9 times out of 10, if the mother of your child or the father of your child has the other trait, then 9 times out of 10, not 9 times out of 10, it's a 100% chance that your child will have sickle cell. Also, in Walter's case, Walter Clement Noel, his case, both his parents had the trait, so he was sickle cell. He had sickle cell anemia. It's a very hard disease to deal with. It's treatments to it. The genes involved in sickle cell control the production of the proteins in red blood cells called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin binds oxygen in the lungs and delivers it to peripheral tissues such as livers and muscles. Most people have 2 normal genes for hemoglobin. Some people carry 1 normal gene and 1 gene for sickle hemoglobin. This is called the sickle cell trait. These people are are normal in all respects. People with sickle cell traits do not develop sickle cell disease as they grow older. People with sickle cell trait rarely develop problems related to their sickle cell gene, single sickle cell gene, and then only under very unusual conditions. A person receives the sickle cell genes or not only at the time of conception. Therefore, neither sickle cell trait nor sickle cell disease can be contracted. By the same token, people cannot lose their sickle cell genes over time. A person born with sickle cell trait, which is 1 sickle cell gene, will always have the sickle cell trait. The same is true for the sickle cell disease, which is 2 sickle cell genes. Sickle cell disease produces illness, which sickle cell trait usually does not. The severity of sickle cell can change over time. The change in severity is not due to the change of sickle cell genes over time. Rather, number of biological factors, most of which are not understood at this time, change to alter the severity of sickle cell disease. And that's my part of the project. Thank you.
Mutations in the sickle cell anemia disease. Mutations that cause sickle cell anemia have been extensively studied and demonstrate how the effects of mutations can be traced from the DNA level up to the level of the whole organism. Walter Clement Noel had to face some of these deficiencies, and this is why he has sickle cell anemia. There are effects at the DNA level, and there are effects at the protein level. Normal hemoglobin and hemoglobin in sickle cell red blood cells look different. The mutation in the DNA slightly changes the shape of the hemoglobin molecule, allowing it to clump together. Shape instead of the usual round shape. This shape can sometimes interrupt blood flow. There are negative effects at the whole organism level. Under conditions such as high evaluation and intense exercise, a carrier of the sickle cell ill may occasionally show symptoms such as pain and fatigue. There are positive effects at the whole organism level. Walter Clement had the sickle cell allele, and it is resistant to malaria.
And you all know we've been talking about Walter Clement Noel, and I'm going to be talking about some of his past history. Walter Clement Noel, he was the first person founded with the sickle cell disease. He was from the Caribbean islands, British colony, and Noel, his family, they was a wealthy landholders. Noel received his education and attended Harrison College in Barbados, completed his undergraduate studies in the summer of 1904. Then Noel, he sailed to Barbados, to New York, and on the Essex, I don't know, he developed the leg euclear, common complication of sickle cell disease during a week-long journey. Noel received a quality education and attended Harrison College in Barbados, completed his undergraduate studies in the summer of 1904. Then he sailed to Barbados to New York, and after being treated with iodine, he then continued his studies and got accepted as a dental student at the Chicago College of Dental Surgery on the city of West Side. And he took a room on West Congress Street in the heart of Chicago Medical District. It was unusual in 1904 for a student African descent such as Noel to be permitted to the studies in the United States outside of traditional blacks-only secondary school. However, Noel was well-to-do and was also affording educational opportunities for black students were slowly being expanded.